Right, we're gonna give people a few minutes to get in here while we wait. Hope everybody's having a good day today. Hope you're having a good start to the week. Just was over watching RJ stream with Hero Shack and Chris and Diana there as they were promoting their Trolls Exposed book. So, anyways, hmm. Let's see now. Charlie Brown, Charlie Brown, you're such a clown. Charlie Brown, why is everybody always picking on me? Charlie Brown, Charlie Brown, you're such a clown. Charlie Brown, why is everybody always picking on me? Charlie Brown, Charlie Brown, you're such a clown. Charlie Brown, why is everybody always picking on me? Charlie Brown, yeah, Charlie Brown, you're such a clown. Charlie Brown, why is everybody always picking on me? Charlie Brown, yeah, Charlie Brown, you're such a clown. Charlie Brown, why is everybody always picking on me? Come along with the snorks, swim along with the snorks. So much to see waiting for you and me. Have some fun with the snorks. If you could breathe underwater, where would you go? If you had friends underwater, who would you know? Come along and sing along too. Yeah. Up on planet Zynga. Whitney and the robot, the world's an open book. Oh, with Whitney and the robot, come on, let's take a look. Oh, with Whitney and the robot, come on, let's take a look. Oh, with Whitney and the robot, come on, let's take a look. On the great space coaster, get on board on the great space coaster. Off we go, come on board, step inside, going for a magic ride. Going to the other side, only rainbows hide. On the great space coaster, get on board on the great space coaster. Off we go. Come on board, step inside, going for a magic ride. Going to the other side, only rainbows hide. On the great space coaster, get on board on the great space coaster. Off we go. Marshall, Will, and Holly on a routine expedition met the greatest escape ever known. High on the rapids, someone coming down 1,000 feet below. In the land of the lost, in the land of the lost. Roar! No one should terrify the neighborhood. He gonna be on time, playing pranks on everyone. Dun, 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 dun. With the ladies' pants, being charming never lasts. Gang will reign supreme, and no one there is high. The make of history, always have an underlie. So join in the jubilee. Cats are the odyssey. Oh, oh. Let me see. What else can we? Conjunction, junction. What's your function? Pulling up cars and trailing phrases and clauses. Junction, junction. What's your function? Brave star, brave star. Eyes of the hawk, ears of the wolf. Brave star, brave star. Speed of the puma. Let me see now. What else? Mass crusaders working overtime, fighting crime, fighting crime. Secret raiders who will neutralize to the Federalized. Mark Trident's gonna lead the mission. Spectrum's got such super vision. Mask is a mighty power that will save the day. Mask. No one knows what lies behind the masquerade. Mask. Always riding on Venom's trail. Early the danger is on his way. Do-do-do, do-do-do. Let me see now. What else? Well, there goes Max on his routine mission. Will he lose or win? In that four-ply diaper and that safety pin. Fantastic Max. Bionic 6. Ooh. We're all together. We fight for right. Bionic 6. Ooh. We're all family. Alrighty then. Well, let me see. Let's see. All right. Well, anyways, so here's what's I got. Well, thank you for whoever came in and gave me a couple likes there. Um, saw that just now. Anyway, so here's what's on tap for tonight. We got end up having 7 news stories to go over. 6 articles, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about something going on in the WWE right now with Nash Carter's recent release. Aside from that, of course, Joe Casey seems to believe that our fiction should reflect our reality. Joe the guy's name again? Oh, yeah, Joe Casey, who's the creator of American Chavez, believes that it's extremely important for our fiction to reflect our reality. We're going to find out why he thinks that. Um, Eric Lawson actually going blasting Marvel and DC for replacing iconic characters, wanting the replacements to flop, I believe. Also, now these 6 articles are going to go over, of course, are from Bounding into Comics. Let's see. Also, Netflix announces an original anime from the studio that did Attack on Titan and Vinland Saga. Toei Animation reveals um, what happened with their recent hack. The new trailer coming out for Makoto Shinkai's new film, Suzume no Tojimari. And apparently, there's going to be a bit of a broadcast delay for Shikimori's Not Just a Cutie Face. Not just a cutie face. Uh, not just a cutie faces potential broadcast delay due to COVID-19 outbreak at Doga Kobo Studios. So that's basically what's all on tap for tonight. I hope we can get more people in here soon. Anyways, why don't we go ahead and we're coming up on 12 minutes now, so why don't we go ahead and get started on getting to the articles here. All right, so anyways, without any further ado here. All right, so anyways. Let's get into this then. And as always, if anything catches your fancy, feel free to comment. Anything that we cover in the articles here or whatever. If you have anything you want to say about it, feel free to do so. And if I can, I'll answer any questions if possible. Anyways, let's get to this then. America Chavez creator Joe Casey says her debut in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is, quote unquote, extremely important because, quote, our fiction should reflect our reality. Really now? I would think there are a lot of comic book creators, most notably Comicsgate, of course, that actually have the exact opposite viewpoint of that. This commentator himself, I think, believes believes that as well. It's kind of one of the that's the whole idea of escapism is to escape all the BS. Anyways, let's go ahead and article by Spencer McCauley published this past Friday. Let's go ahead and get into this. Ahead of her upcoming Marvel Cinematic Universe debut in the upcoming Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, America Chavez creator Joe Casey has shared his opinion that her live-action appearance is, quote, extremely important, unquote, because, quote, our fiction should reflect our reality, unquote, and, quote, reality is obviously multicultural. Oh boy. Another preacher here, don't we? We seem to have another preacher here, don't we? Somebody wants to get preachy with people. As he here's the short Vengeance, Volume 1, Number 2, World on Fire, and 11 Marvel Comics, words by Joe Casey, art by Nick Dragotta and Brad Simpson. Casey, who penned Chavez's first appearance in the 2011 miniseries Vengeance, alongside artwork provided by Nick Dragotta, shared his thoughts on his creation's live action premiere with Sci-Fi Wire on April 4th, which was a week ago. Responding to an email inquiry on the topic from the outlet, Casey asserted, quote, it's extremely important, mainly in the sense that our fiction should, in very significant and fundamental ways, reflect our reality. Translation: we want to um, groom your kids to think in the way we do, so we're going to do it through comic books. We want to be able to groom your kids, and we're going to get past you by 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 reflecting them in the comic books. Here's a compiled from Young Avengers Volume 2, Number 3, Parent Teacher Disorganization. Words by Kieran Gillen. Art by Jamie McKelvey, Mike Norton, and Matthew Wilson. Quote, and unlike the Marvel Universe depicted in the early 1960s comics, reality is obviously multicultural, unquote. He continued, quote, our superheroes should be too. Marvel characters like America Chavez and Miles Morales and Kamala Khan have become vitally important to a large section of fandom that sees a lot of themselves in them, unquote. More propaganda. Quote, with America Chavez in particular, there is a real connection that really seems to transcend the comics, unquote. He said, quote, hopefully the movie-going audience will make that same kind of connection when they see America Chavez in the Doctor Strange flick, unquote. Yeah, this guy's probably a groomer. Showcase he's a groomer. The way he's responding here, I get the impression he's a groomer. Hello, I have a second person. Thank you for dropping in. Again, if there's anything in the article here that grabs your attention that you want to comment on, feel free to do so. And I will, if you have any questions or anything, I'll try to answer them as best I can. Hope you're enjoying the content thus far. Anyways, getting back to the article here. Turning to the topic of the character actress Xochitl Gomez, that's how I believe it's pronounced. Casey affirmed that he put his faith in the fact that, quote, if there's one thing that Marvel Studios particularly excels at, it's casting the right actor for the right role. Quote, from what little I've seen so far, she seems really enthusiastic to have landed the role and to be part of the MCU. Personally, unquote. The author added, quote, I'm rooting for her to knock it out of the park, unquote. Noting that just in brackets being able to see her alongside an iconic character like Doctor Strange is extremely cool, unquote. Casey ultimately recalled, quote, that's one of the main reasons why I created her in the first place. So she could stand next to the other Marvel heroes, the heavy hitters like Iron Man and Captain America, and for it to feel like she belonged there, unquote. Okay, that's there's an interesting panel right there. Like, holy. Like, America Chavez seems to have a hairy back right there. And in that one panel, looks like part of her butt hanging out. Oh, man. Oh, man. They drew that one kind of interestingly, didn't they? Anyways, getting back to the article here. Quote, to me, that's what gives any new character a degree of legitimacy. Um, that's often very necessary when you're already got a long running continuity, he concluded. However, according to Sci Fi Wire, Casey was not consulted in any ways on Chavez's live action debut, though this should come as no surprise considering Marvel's current direction for the character. Okay, look at how they look at this panel right here. I commented a little bit on it already. She's got quite a hairy backside to her, up and down her back. Looks like her butt's about to come out of her pants there. Uh, and she's got quite a bit of stubble all over her body on the next. I don't know if that's stubble, if that's hair, or that's just scratches or whatever. But it's kind of does catch your attention, doesn't it? So Vengeance Volume 1, Number 5, The 12th Hour, Marvel Comics. Words by Joe Casey, art by Nick Dragotta and Brad Simpson. Yeah, Nick and Drag. I'm sorry, Nick and Brad. No, I don't even know who Brad Simpson is. I don't have any reason to believe he's a drag queen. I just know they seem to like drawing hairy women. Uh, anyways, continuing on with the article. Once an aggressively independent member of the covert teen brigade, who cared little for intra-personal matters and proudly declared, quote, you couldn't pay me to join the Avengers, unquote. Chavez has since been turned into one of Marvel's premier diversity trophies, having become so integral to the publisher's stories out of nothing more than the merits of her identity as a non white, non straight, non male character as a critical social theory 3 for 1. Yeah, basically, she's a Hispanic les- she's a Hispanic lesbian character, basically, is what they're coming down to. Now here they cleaned her up a bit at least. It's not like all hair here. Now who did this art, of course? Vengeance Volume 1. So okay, so this is the same guys who did the other. In fact, Marvel's current take on the reality hopping brawler is so far removed Casey's original incarnation that in support of the publisher's attempts to position themselves as champions of, in parentheses, more often than not, embarrassingly forced diversity, Chavez has been placed on the rosters of no less than 4 Avengers affiliated super teams: the Young Avengers, West Coast Avengers, A Force, and the second incarnation of the Ultimates. In the years since she uttered contempt at the thought. Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I mean, what happened to the idea of everybody just, wanting to have their culture, respected and just be left alone? Not try to force people to accept their culture, or force people to have them there when, you know, you know, just the whole idea of placing somebody on a team or anything like that, or even a court, just because they check a box. That's kind of ridiculous. You know, I mean, to kind of go into a real world rant a little bit here for a moment. The only real reason Kentanji Brown is on the Supreme Court because she's a black woman. Never mind what she did. She's a black woman, and therefore, you know, she's on the court because that's all. That's all Joe Biden. That's all the left wanted there. But it's kind of the same thing they're talking about here with America Chavez. They just put somebody who just checks off boxes to fill out a team. That's that is forced diversity. It's not organic. And as long as it's not organic, it's never going to be fully accepted. It's fake. Okay? Forced diversity is fake. Anyways, let's finish off the article here, and we'll move on to the next story here. And again, feel free to come if there's anything you want to comment on in regards to the stories we're talking about. Of course, feel free to do so. Taking after this current version of the character, Gomez's Chavez will hop into the MCU when Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness hits theaters on May 6th, 2022. What do you make of Casey's outlook on Chavez's MCU conclusion? Let us know your. Well, from the sounds of it, because apparently they didn't consult him, and apparently it may be a far cry from her original interpretation, but it almost sounds like he's trying to jump on the bandwagon. He's trying to become relevant by jumping on the bandwagon and saying, yeah, look what they did with my character. They made her a force for diversity and enemy of the evil white people. Yeah. Anyways. All right, so now it's time, of course, to move on to the next article then. Unless, of course, you have anything you'd like to add to the conversation about the article we just read. Give you guys a moment there. Let's see. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to the next article then. That is kind of interesting because it's kind of funny. He seems to be lambasting DC and Marvel, yet I think he thinks sometimes along the same lines as them usually. But let's go ahead and take a look at this now. Savage Dragon creator blasts Marvel and DC Comics for replacing iconic characters. Quote, I want it to flop. Article by John F. Trent, published April 8th. Published on Friday there. So let's get to this. Savage Dragon creator and chief financial officer of Image Comics, Eric Larson, recently blasted Marvel and DC Comics for replacing their iconic characters with new characters that try to take up the iconic characters' identities. All right. Larson made his thoughts on the matter public in a recent thread on Twitter, where he stated, quote, "For some reason, conventional wisdom at Marvel and DC is to have new characters assume the identities of old characters," unquote. He explained, quote, "But if I'm a fan of Iron Man, I'm absolutely not buying your bleepy new Iron Man. I want it to flop so that the old Iron Man can return," unquote. All right, so I think this is one of the times where he would actually seem to be in more agreement with people on our side. I think. Uh, he elaborated in a subsequent tweet, and if you're going to reinvent a character from the ground up, why not just create a new character? Which I know several commentators, including Yellow Flash, have said. You know, a lot of people in Comicsgate would agree with that notion right there. Larson added, quote, "You've done 90% of the work already. Why not give that character a new name and let the old one continue to exist?" Well, I can answer that question. It's because the character names become a brand name. And it's a lot easier to push an agenda with a brand name. You know, look at Superman. Look at what they did with Superman, for example, right? John Kent, Superman, his son. They made him bisexual or more or less gay because, you know, they're trying to push that. So, if everybody thinks Superman's cool, well, if Superman says that being gay or being bi is cool, then everybody will want to do it. Kind of like when kids used to like they see Superman flying, and so they'd want to try to emulate that. So they'd put a towel or a blanket on them and try to jump off roofs. You know, kind of the same thing going here with the answer to your question, Mr. Larson, is because the character names have become brand names, and it's much easier to push an idea or push an agenda with a brand name. Anyways, I've got to step away from the computer for a moment here, so I'll be right back. I'll put on some music here, so at least keep you guys entertained here for a moment while I go do a couple quick little things here. Be right back. All right, I'm back. No comments yet. Anyway, so getting back to the article in here. Let's see. Right, heading into the next paragraph here. Next, Larson pointed out that by doing derivative characters original creations, instead of original creators, aren't sharing in the potential profits from it. He tweeted, "Creators get back-end participation in the new characters, but not in reinvented ones. If Ed Brubaker had made the reveal for the Winter Soldier a red herring and instead revealed he was Fred Johnson, he would have had participation in the character. Instead, he got nothing." So basically, again, because it's a brand name, you know, and the company owns the brand, therefore they can kind of do with the character whatever they want with it. Which Larson then pointed to Blue Beetle and Booster Gold, claiming that he believes many others share his opinion in hoping derivative characters fail. He wrote, "The old Blue Beetle and Booster Gold had a great chemistry. I think a lot of people who might have given the new character a chance didn't want to support the book because they hoped it would fail and the older character would return." I guess they're talking about Jaime Reyes replacing Ted Cord. Um, he then asserted the whole mindset of, quote, "I'm not going to give these companies my great ideas," is self destructive if you give them your great ideas anyway and do it in such a way that you don't get a piece of it, unquote. Hmm. When asked to clarify his position by artist and writer Phil Jimenez, Larson stated, quote, "I'm a fan of the person in the costume as much or more as I am the costume itself. I'm reading Batman and you introduce a new Batman and kill off the old Batman. Don't count on me to keep reading Batman," unquote. Hmm. Well, that's the thing. It seems like they have kind of two Batmen going right now. They got, well, really, no, three Batmen because I know they've recently started up with the Terry McGinnis story arc again as well. So, got Bruce Wayne Batman. You've got Lucius Fox Lucas Fox Batman, and then um, now, and I know they recently started bringing Terry McGinnis back from the Batman Beyond canon. Hey, Lorenzo. Thanks for popping in. Hope you're enjoying the content thus far. And feel free to comment on anything you may see or hear here if you wish. Um, anyways, going on to the continue on here. When asked for his opinion on Hal Jordan replacing Alan Scott and Barry Allen replacing Jay Garrick, Larson answered, quote, "First, that was long before I was born. Second, audience turnover at the time was roughly 3 years, made worse by the huge comic book backlash in the 50s. And third, it had been years since the original versions last appeared. Their titles were which is all true, which he's right on that. in those particular cases, there was like a 12-year gap between when the Golden Age appeared, in the Golden Age features of Flash and Green Lantern were appearing, because when Jay Garrick and Alan Scott's last appearances, before the long hiatus, was I think in '49, and then you started having Barry Allen and Hal Jordan appearing in '61. So there was a bigger. It wasn't just a quick turn. There was a longer period of time there. Plus, and I don't know if he'll mention it in the next paragraph too. Also, there was more of a distinction there. It wasn't like they were replacing the character in the same universe. They were in essence, creating a new universe, or because it was in '61. It was in I think it was in Flash Volume 1, number 123, I believe, that the story they had the Flash of Two Worlds, where kind of showed you there was an Earth 1 and Earth 2. Earth 2 was the Golden Age Earth. Earth 1 was the Silver Age Earth. So, anyways, I'm going to go off camera one more time here because things are, well, maybe I can hold off on that for a few more minutes. Let the sun go down a little bit more before I turn on my room light here. Let's see. I don't know much about the big two or comics in general. I enjoy watching artists draw comics. Yeah, and I know, I don't know if you knew this, well, probably did. Chris and Diana were on RJ's stream earlier tonight. He was featuring them. Trolls Exposed. So. Let's see. Let's see. He added, quote, so there's a huge difference between a company concurrently telling stories with legacy characters while introducing replacement versions and a company reviving long dead concepts. And he's right on that. He's absolutely right on that point. Artist Chris Sotomayor would then ask, quote, is it different when we know the character is going to die, like in Spawn, or if a main character dies and is replaced by their son with the same name, unquote. Larson, which I'm guessing he's referring to the Superman situation. Larson answered, quote, it's different if it's one creator and it's not a cynical ploy or marketing stunt. In the case of Malcolm Dragon, the readers grew up with him and had known him for years before he had a single adventure. Larson would further flesh out his opinion in more responses. In one response, he noted, quote, I was saying creators should create more original characters. That's an original character. Creators should do more of that. As opposed to, I guess, using legacy characters to try to push agendas, I would think. And then again, he did the same thing with Dragon a few months back too. So, Twitter user Richard Adam Halls believes the issue is more complex and that it involves trademark characters explaining, quote, you want to keep trademark X, you need to keep publishing books with that name. Otherwise, someone is going to pull a Captain Marvel on you. But trademark X doesn't sell. Easy, completely new concept, same name. Yeah. What I'm guessing is maybe how we got Marvel Comics version of Captain Marvel, I guess, over the Shazam of Billy Batson and all that. Larson answered, quote, "That's the real bottom line. If DC doesn't keep putting out Blue Beetle comics, they'll eventually lose the trademark, and once it's gone, it's gone. If they can't sell old Blue Beetle, they try new Blue Beetle, and if that dries up, they'll try something else," unquote. Another user would also bring up the copyright issue. However, Larson would provide a very different answer. Quote, "Okay, but if I'm working at DC and I want to create a new version of, say, Blue Beetle with a new costume, new identity, and the whole 9 yards, why not go the extra step and pick a different name?" Unquote. He added, quote, "I'm 95% of the way there already, and I get character equity participation," unquote. Well, I answered this question earlier. The reason they don't create a new character is because at this point the character name has become a brand name. And it's a lot easier to push a brand name, to use a brand name to push agendas, to sell ideas that get into your kids' heads that maybe you don't want there. That's why they don't create new characters. One user would claim making new characters are hard to create, to which Larson countered, quote, "The point is that they're already creating a new character. They're just calling it something familiar." In essence, that is what they're doing. Eric is actually saying some pretty straight up things here. He's making some valid points here. Ultimately, as I said though, the big thing here is the reason they don't do that other 5% is because the character name has now become a brand name. And because of that, it's a lot easier to sell, to push agendas. It's a lot easier to sell certain ideas to get into your kids' heads that maybe you don't want in their heads. One user indicated that they have had enough of derivative Superman characters for representation's sake and suggested creators make something new. Larson replied, quote, "That's what I prefer and that's what I do. Why do many black characters in comics inherit the mantles of white characters?" Excuse me a moment, folks. I'm gonna have to go off for a moment as I think my sister just called me for some reason. I'll be right back. Alrighty then. So basically, my sister didn't call me. She laughing at a video she was watching. So, anyways, getting back to the art, and I thank everybody for the likes and shares thus far. And if you haven't already, if you can like and share the videos, if we get some more friendly people in here, that'd be appreciated. So we now get back to the um article that we're reading here. Let's see. Quote, why aren't there more new iconic black characters at Marvel and DC? There are like three Black Panther. There are like three Black Panther, Falcon, and Storm. That's it. Unquote. He said. Yeah, I get what they're saying. Like, for example, John Stewart as the Green Lantern, you know, albeit in defense of the Green Lantern Corps, though, they've got all kinds of different aliens with different skin tones and all that. There's Ariel, who's I think yellow. You got a one that looks like a bird guy, you know. So I mean, anyways, in response to a user enthusiastically agreeing with him, Larson provided an analogy to sum up his argument. Quote, it's like replacing a Snickers bar with a different candy bar, but still calling it Snickers, and using a similar wrapper while arguing that, quote, people buy Snickers and love the Snickers brand. Very good point there. Very good point. Hmm. Anyways, as we are, let's continue on here. Okay, another user completely disagreed, arguing that replacing the character is how the comic book, quote, industry grows and attracts new readers, unquote. The user specifically pointed out DC Comics Silver Age. Well, the point, yeah. Well, let's see how Larson responds to that, because Larson replied, "quote It's a somewhat different scenario anyway, because comics had been canceled, reprints weren't a thing, and readership turned over frequently. So DC was rebuilding, and most readers weren't even really aware that there were previous versions of those characters." Unquote. So basically, this. So what Eric is pointing out here is this. Yeah, you did have a new Green Lantern, you had a new Flash, you had a new Adam, you had a new um Hawkman in in you know in the Silver Age there. But one, there was a bit of a difference in timing there. You had the Golden Age version of the characters who were active in the 30s and 40s, and then you had the Silver Age that started becoming active in the 60s. Okay, there was a bit of a gap there, like what Eric's talking about, what they're doing now, like again, like with Jonathan Kent, for example, right? With John Kent, they're you know his father is still alive and active, just on War World, and they're bringing in a character to kind of try to replace him while he's still around. And I think the Superman titles with Clark in it are selling more than the ones with his son in it. Okay. Now, granted, yeah. In some of the multiverse stories that they would do of the 60s and 70s, they did play with the idea of like for example, there was the whole Super Sons story arc where Superman and Batman had both got married and had raised sons, and their sons had taken up the mantles of Superman, and all that. But it's again a case where you know um, the previous characters are still active. But in those multiverse stories, the characters were no longer, Clark and Batman had retired from, in the Super Sons arc. Whereas nowadays, the characters are still more or less active, you know. Plus, you had the whole multiverse angle going throughout, to differentiate between the characters that were established in the Golden Age, who were all inhabitants of Earth 2, and the characters that were created during the Silver Age that were inhabitants of Earth 1. So that's, I think, what he's getting at. What you're not publishing the characters concurrently like you are today. There is, there is a little bit of a, and even in the multiverse stories, during the Silver Age, the Silver Age characters were still the ones who had prominence. You may have gotten a Golden Age story here or there momentarily, but anyways, I'm gonna step away from the computer for one more second here because it is getting very dim in here. I'll be right back. All right, so we're back now. Of course, if you have anything you want to ask about anything here being said, feel free to do so. I'll try to answer as best I can. Let's see. Going on to the next paragraph here. Oh, excuse me one more time. I'm sorry, guys. I'm gonna have to go off. Gonna go off the camera here for another for a couple of minutes here. I'll be right back. Sorry about this. All right. Anyways, that and continue with the articles. Morrison would eventually post, quote, the best method for introducing a new character is the tried and true silver silver server elect I guess it's supposed to be silver surfer. Um, obviously there seems to be a bit of a spelling error there. Electra Deadpool um, method and introduce a new character in a popular ongoing book and bring them back repeatedly, and then spin them off into their own titles. His position by Larson is quite a turn from his recent comments about wanting Marvel Comics to make the Punisher gay and have him hunt people who wear his. Yeah. Oh, that was him. That's right. Back in February, Larson tweeted, quote, instead of changing Punisher's chest emblem, they should just have Frank finally realize that he's gay, unquote. He then added, quote, and the beauty of it is that it wouldn't alter the comics at all. He'd still be dressing in leather, ignoring the ladies, and hanging out in bars with other. Oh boy, yeah. In a subsequent tweet, he added, quote, and then the Punisher skull would take on a whole new meaning, and it would just kill the dudes who brandish it. They're such a homophobic lot. Yeah, I think Larson may be playing the bandwagon rider too. I mean, and a lot of what he's saying in this tidbit, seems to, seems to be making good points. He would later respond to a user writing, quote, seriously, if you read Punisher comics, which exist, nothing changes. You can read comics that are in print and it all works, unquote. Quote, man, he keeps his man tidy. Weird how he hasn't hooked up with any lady in 50 years. It all fits, unquote. He asserted. Oh, right. Trying to say that Frank Castle was family, huh? That's kind of go over well with a lot of things. Nevertheless, even if current Marvel and DC comic creators do indeed create new characters, these characters tend to fall flat with readers. Game creator Chuck Dixon explained why. Quote, when they do create new characters, they don't know what they are doing. They don't know how to create an appealing character. Quote, elaborated. Quote, in fact, they seem dead set on creating unappealing characters that simply exist to piss off the majority of comic books. They basically, if you don't like this character, there's something wrong with you. Go away. Unquote. Which, yes, that is from a lot of mainstream comic writers. That is the attitude. Just look at Kelly Sue DeConnick, right? If you don't like my politics, don't buy my book. Uh, well, Kelly Sue, people haven't been buying your books, so there. Little snot. Anyways, what do you make of Eric Larson's comments on Marvel and DC Comics replacing their iconic characters with derivatives and expressing his desire that the comics featuring the derivative characters flop? The iconic characters return. So, well, he's saying a lot of the right things now. But I think it's more a case he seems to be this bandwagon jumper. He just jumps on the band, just jumps on whatever is popular at the moment. Maybe doesn't really have a real thought in his head. That's what I would say. Let's see, we're just past the hour mark now. So let's see. So we're done with the So if you guys have anything you'd like to add to this conversation, go ahead. If not, we'll probably move on to the next article here in a moment. Just give you guys a chance to chime in if you'd like. All right, as it would appear you guys don't have anything more to say, we'll move on to the next set of articles, which are all coming from anime. We have, oh wow, there's even another one. Well, I'll probably have to save the last one for tomorrow, I guess. Oh, that one's kind of an interesting story. Hmm. We'll probably save that one for tomorrow, though. All right, so let's see. I think we're just past the hour mark. Yeah. So we got like four more stories here. See how we do here. All right, so here's the first anime story we'll get to. Netflix announces original anime Vampire in the Garden from Attack on Titan and Vinland Saga production studio. Article by Spencer McCooley, published past Friday. All right, so let's see what this is all about. In collaboration with Wit Studio, the Japanese animation studio behind such series as Vinland Saga, Kabaneri of the Iron Fortress, and the first three seasons of Attack on Titan, Netflix has announced production of Vampire in the Garden, an original anime series with a supernatural twist. And so here's, I guess, here's a poster for it, flyer. Revealed during the recent Anime Japan 2022 convention, with a premiere trailer, Vampire in the Garden follows the story of a world where, quote, one cold winter, humanity lost its battle with the vampires, and with it, most of where they called home, unquote. Quote, a small population of survivors created a wall of light in a small town to protect them and give them a place to live in peace, adds the synopsis provided by Netflix. Quote, protagonist, Momo, lives a repressed life, but still wishes to coexist with the enemy, the vampires. Fine. The vampire queen once loved humans and disappeared from the battlefield. As war rages through the humans' town, and the two have a fateful encounter, unquote. Quote, once upon a time, humans and vampires lived in harmony in a place called paradise. This is the story of a young girl and a vampire on a journey to find paradise. It concludes, unquote, concludes. As noted in the trailer's credits, the series will feature a veteran production crew, including director Ryotaro Makihara, Attack on Titan Summer Wars, assistant director Hiroyuki Tanaka, Attack on Titan, character designer Tetsuya Nishio, Naruto, Jinro, The Wolf Brigade, art setting by Satoshi Takabatake and Kazushi Fuji, and composer Yoshihiro Ike from Ergo Proxy and Tiger Bunny. The voice cast currently includes Megumi Han and Yu Kobayashi. Momo's faithful encounter against the Vampire Queen and her bloody war against the undead fly onto Netflix on May 16th, so next month, a little over a month away. As of writing, it is unknown how many episodes will comprise the series' debut season. Oh, look at that. Sheesh. Are you excited for Vampire in the Garden? Let us know your thoughts on social media. Comment down below. They does sound kind of interesting. That much is for sure. All right, so give you a few minutes to see if you guys want to comment on that story. Um, I prepare to go on to the next one. That story went kind of quick. All right, let's see. Alrighty then. All right, so up to 2 people now watching. That's good. If you haven't already, if you can like and share the stream, see if we can get some more people in here, that'd be appreciated. Anyway, so here's our next article coming up here. Toei Animation reveals recent hack was result of targeted ransomware attack. Article by Nerdigans Inc. Okay. Published this past Friday, April 8th, 2022. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. The recent hack of Toei Animation, which resulted in a delay to the production schedules of various, I think the word of should be in there, of various anime series that continues to affect them to this day, has been found to have been the consequences of a targeted ransomware attack. One Piece episode 1000. Yeah, I think we read a similar story on PCR the other day about the breaking schedule of One Piece and one other popular anime as well. One Piece, Hockey, Onslaught, Arthur, on March 11th, Easter came early when Toei Animation announced 5 days earlier an unauthorized third party access to the company's network and proceeded to cause a partial shutdown of the company's computing system. Specifically, the hack halted internal systems that were used in the production of the process of their various anime series. As such, the hack kept on giving by subsequently affecting the broadcast schedules for One Piece, Dragon Quest: The Adventure of Dai, Delicious Party Precure, and Digimon Ghost Game. starting with the respective episodes of each series slated to air on the weekend of March 12th, 13th. 12/13. On March 8th, the NHK reported via machine translation provided by DeepL that after a preliminary investigation, Toei Animation, quote, believed that the cyber attack was caused by, in smaller quotes, ransomware, a ransom type computer virus, unquote. Um, Information in regards to the demands of the ransom, the type of virus the hacker used, and the origin of the virus was not revealed. Probably because they don't want people going to whoever's house this is and beat the you know what out of them. Anyway, as defined by the FBI, a ransomware attack is, quote, a type of malicious software or malware that prevents you from accessing your computer files, systems, or networks and demands you pay a ransom for their return. Ransomware attacks can cause costly disruptions to operations and loss of critical information and data. Toei also confirmed that they had shut down parts of the internal system to investigate the extent of the virus reach. The Japan Computer Emergency Response Team Coordination Center, JP CERT, um, recently revealed that since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic, ransomware cyber attacks become more and more common against Japanese companies, with reported attacks jumping from 20,000 in 2019 to 35,000 in just first 9 months of 2021. According to the agency, the dramatic increase in cyber attacks is a result of criminal groups taking advantage of people working from home. In February 2022, Toyota and its supply chain companies were targeted by a similar hack, which caused its production processes to halt, with March seeing attacks on three more high-profile companies. According to the NHK, a survey conducted of 1,547 Japanese companies of all sizes by the private research company Teikoku Databank between March 11th and 14th found that 28.4% of companies had, quote, received a cyber attack within a month, unquote. Earlier this week, the social media accounts belonging to a number of the series affected by the hack announced that they would soon return to releasing new episodes. These series included Dragon Quest: The Adventure of Dai, which kicks off the return of Toei Animation's regular release schedule on April 16th, and One Piece, Digimon Ghost Game, and Delicious Party Pretty Cure, the three of which will follow on April 17th. Dragon Ball Superhero, on the other hand, is a different story. Originally, the next movie in the Dragon Ball franchise was supposed to come out on April 22nd, but in light of the studio's animation that the hack continues to affect the film's production, Toei has now pushed its release back to an unknown date. Movies, it takes longer to get things organized than with a regular show, obviously. You know, um, have more material to handle with movies than you do with regular TV shows. Conversely, the Dragon Ball Super superhero novel, despite being similarly pushed back from its intended April 25th release, has already been given a new street date of June 30th, 2022 by Shueisha's official Shonen Jump store. Given the novel's original release date being so close to the film's, some fans have speculated that the film may now hit theaters sometime between late June and early July. It, I guess, would make a certain amount of sense. How do you think Toei has handled the hacking debacle? Do you think the delay of various animes was a failure on Toei's IT department? Sound off on social media or in the for me, I'm kind of a novice when it comes to the high tech stuff. So, comes to the more technical aspects, I really have no room to change. An hour 24. We're coming up on an hour. Anyway, so here's the next article we're gonna go through here. That looks like some pretty nice artwork right there. Nice eye catch. Makoto Shinkai's new film, Suzume no Tojimari, releases first trailer and key art. Article by John F. Trent, published earlier today. Toho, Comics, Wave Film, and Story Inc. released the first trailer for director Makoto Shinkai's upcoming film, Suzumu no Tojimari. So here's again some nice looking scenery there. The film will follow 17-year-old Suzume as she explores a quiet town in Kyushu. While on her journey in this town, she encounters a young man who tells her, quote, "I'm looking for a door," unquote. Suzume eventually discovers a weather door standing upright in the midst of the ruins of the town. She eventually grabs the door's knob and opens the door. After Suzume opens the door, doors across Japan begin to open and unleash destruction on anywhere near. Whoa, okay. Suzume sets out to close these portals to prevent further destruction and damage. Whoa. A very interesting story. Quiet little town, all of a sudden a buzz because you just open this one door and all these other doors open and just full on destruction. The official description for the trailer states, quote, "On the other side of the door was time in its entirety," unquote. It continues, quote, 17-year-old Suzume's journey begins in a quiet town in Kyushu when she encounters a young man who tells her, quote, "I'm looking for a door," unquote. When Suzume finds what Suzumi finds is a single weathered door standing upright in the midst of ruins, um, as though it was shielded from whatever catastrophe struck. Seemingly mesmerized by its power, Suzume reaches for the knob. I guess here's that scene they're talking about. Quote, doors begin to open one after another all across Japan, leashing destruction upon any who are near. Suzume must close these portals to prevent further disaster. It goes on. The description concludes, quote, the stars, the sunset, the morning sky, within that realm, it was as though all time had melted together in the sky. Drawn by the mysterious door, Suzume's journey is about to begin, unquote. Look at that. I mean, she's even in some water there. Suzume no Tojimari. Accompanying the trailer and first key art director Makoto Shinkai said, um, quote, we must think about how to close the many doors we left open, unquote. He added, quote, I've bestowed that responsibility upon Shizume as she travels across Japan closing various doors. It is my sincere hope that this film leaves its audience with big smiles and excitement as they walk out of the theater, unquote. And I guess this is Shinkai right here. That's Makoto Shinkai. Not only is Shinkai the director, but he's also the writer of the screenplay and the original story. Character design is done by Masayoshi Tanaka. Animation direction is done by Kenichi Tsuchiya, and Takumi Tanji is the art director. The film is produced by both Comics Wave Films Incorporated and Story Inc. It is being distributed by Toho Company Limited. Here's another scene from the movie. Shinkai's previous works include The Place Promised in Our Early Days, 5 centimeters per second, Children Who Chase Lost Voices, The Garden of Words, Your Name, and Weathering with You. Wow, those are a few interesting titles right there. Got quite a bit of a work there. Heard of some of these movies. They do seem pretty, have, you know, had their following and all that. Suzumo no Tojimari is expected to arrive in Japanese theaters on November 11, 2020. So really late into the year here, like 7 months away. What do you make of this new trailer and key art? You plan on check? Sounds like it does look like a pretty good movie. That much is for sure. Anyway, let's see if any. No, I guess nobody come in as of yet. All right, let me see. All right, so anyways, let's see. I'm gonna say that one that was just added probably for tomorrow, but so this will be the last article we'll read right here, and I'll talk a little bit about the Nash Carter. All right, so here we go. So here's the last article I'm gonna read. Right, Shikinori is not just a kitty facing potential broadcast delay due to COVID-19 outbreak Olga Kobo Studio. Article by Nerdigan. Okay. The recent COVID-19 outbreak at animation studio Doga Kobo could threaten to delay production of their newly premiered anime series, Shikimori's Not Just a Cutie. Look at that! Look at that look in her eyes. Look a little tedious right there. Shimura is not just a cutie. Episode 1, my girlfriend is super cute. Okay. Ah, that one sounds very interesting. COVID-19 has struck again. So far this year, the virus has struck several well-known figures in Japanese anime and manga industry, including mangaka Yuji Kaku, Aya Shimon Hell's Paradise, numerous members of Ken Wakui's Tokyo Revengers team, which led to the mangaka to make the conscious decision to lock down the studio for a week. And Jujutsu Kaisen voice actor Junya Inoki Itadori Yuji. Both Kaku and Wakui did not return to releasing new chapters of their respected series until they got green light from their doctors. Or they got the green light from their doctors. This is another scene from that first episode. Look at that. Now, just as spring anime 2022 season is kicking off, one such rapid COVID-19 outbreak has hit the hardworking staff members of Doga Kobo Studio. On April 6th, which was last Wednesday, the studio announced via their website that, quote, due to the rapid increase in the number of people infected with coronavirus in the company, unquote, their doors would be closed from April 6th to April 17th, 2022. Barring any setbacks, Doga and Kobo employees, quote, will resume entering and exiting out building from April 18th, unquote. Sudden outbreak has left Doga Kobo Studio with quite the dilemma regarding the production of their highly anticipated spring Shigemori's Not Just a Cutie. Originally, the series was previously scheduled to debut on April 2nd, but was delayed to April 9th, so a week. So let's see. April 2nd was a week ago this past Saturday, and then it was this past Saturday that it debuted. And on April 8th, the series' official Twitter account announced, quote, at the video studio in charge of producing this work, the company has been temporarily closed due to the rapid increase number of people infected with the in-house coronavirus. The Shikimori-san production committee will put the health and safety of staff and cast first and then produce it. Okay. We are discussing measures for further broadcasting so that we can deliver TV animation in a better form, unquote. The statement continued, quote, we will let you know the details such as the broadcast date and time, unquote. Beginning serialization in September 2018 under the title Kawaii Dake Ja Nai Onanoko, before being picked up by Before Magazine Pocket in February 2019. Shigemori's Not Just a Cutie is a best-selling romantic comedy manga by Keigo Maki. A synopsis of the series is provided by Kodansha, who currently holds the English language license. Explains, quote, Shigemori seems like the perfect girlfriend, cute, fun to be around, sweet when she wants to be, but she has a cool dark side that comes out under the right circumstances, unquote. Quote, and her boyfriend, Izumi, loves to be around when that happens, unquote. It adds, quote, a fun and funny high school romance with a sassy twist, perfect for fans of Nagatoro-san and Komi can't communicate. In addition to Shikimori's Not Just a Cutie, Doga Kubo or Kobo Studio is producing the RPG real estate anime, um, which debuted its first episode on April 6th. Bizarrely, Doga Kubo um, has made no announcements regarding any production delays for the series. Doga Kobo, I think it's Doga Kobo, and then they in the previous paragraph there they hit the wrong button, I guess. Has created its name in the anime industry with series like Monthly Girls, Nozaki-kun, Sleeping Princess in the Demon Castle, Dumbbell Non Kilo Motoru, Himoto Umaru-chan, and New Game, just to name a few. Oh, look at that face! She's not happy. Look at that. Whoa, that's not quite. Yeah, in a way, it's cute, but not so cute. Just looking like a pouty little child there. You gonna hold your breath till you get your way, huh, there, little girl? Uh, Currently, Shikimori's Not Just a Cutie has a confirmed episode release schedule through May 8th. Do you think Shikimori, Not Just a Cutie, should could see a significant delays? Let us know. Well, I'm not sure about that. So, guess we'll just have to wait and see. But anyways, that's all the articles we're gonna go through tonight. The one that they did add during our time here, we'll probably get to that. Well, I'll probably have that as part of tomorrow's broadcast. Anyways, so if there's anybody out there who wants to comment on anything we read tonight or anything like that, if not, I think it'd be a good time to start winding the show down a bit. All right, see, there is a second person in here. So, did you have anything you'd like to add to the conversation? About what I've read tonight? Anything you want to, whether it's about what Joe Casey had to say, or Eric Larson had to say, or anything we covered in the anime side? Oh, that's right. I kind of forgot. There was one more story I needed to go over, and that's from the wrestling side. So there's a guy named Nash Carter who was employed with the WWE. Now he had recently won the NXT tag team championships with his tag team partner, but he was let go from the WWE last week when a picture of him impersonating Hitler apparently hit the screens. Now this picture was released by, I guess, I don't know if it's his current wife, or I think it is his current wife, because some people were saying that this is, so his current wife exposed his picture and also claimed he had abused her, but um, but the timing was off in that he was the one who was filing divorce papers claiming she was abusing him, from what the stories I've been hearing. There are a lot of people at NXT who are not happy about this firing. They ended up having to vacate the NXT tag belts because of his firing. You know, so this is again another story in which cancel culture strikes again. Um, apparently this was a picture that was taken when he was 19 years old, and we don't even really know the full context of what the picture was. Was it a case where he was doing it because he actually supports Hitler, or was it a case of he was mocking Hitler? We don't know that because nobody's bothered. It would seem nobody seemed to be bothered to ask that. His wife just put it out there, almost knowing that it would hurt him. That's one of the big stories coming out of the last week in WWE is that Nash Carter story. Now, whether or not he'll be hired back by the WWE or if another company will pick him up, we'll just have to wait and see. We'll have to see how this drama pans out. But that was the other big story that was going on in wrestling. Was that Nash Carter's release. So, anyways, so let's see now. We're back up to 3 people. Yay, 3 people. Okay, so again, if there's anything you guys would like to add to the conversation on what we were just talking about, feel free to do so. I'll give you a few more seconds. We're coming up on an hour 45. I'll give you about another minute to see if you guys want to say anything. Not, I think we will go ahead and start to wind down. Hey, Bagga. Hey, Mike. I'm starting to feel better. I'll try to make um, tomorrow's show. Well, thank you for dropping in, Bagga. If you haven't already, if you can like and share the stream, help see if we can get some more friendly people in here if you haven't already. Thank you for popping in. Hope you do feel better. Can't wait to have you back on Friday to go over more comics and stuff. Yeah, you weren't the only one feeling a little under the weather on Friday. I was pushing myself through it too. So, uh, all right. So we'll go a little longer here. All right. Well, we've got about an hour or minute and a half. So, all right, guys. Well, anyways, we're going to start to wind down here. So today being Monday, April the 11th, 2022. Why don't we go ahead and take a look back at this day in each history? History! All right. So, with that being said, here we go. And our first up, we're going to head back to 1995, which was 27 years ago, as on this date, the first issue of Ghost from Dark Horse's Comics Greatest World imprint went on sale on this date in 1995. So 27 years ago today, Ghost #1 from Dark Horse's Comics Greatest World imprint went on sale today. The story was called Arcadia Nocturne 1, which I'm guessing was the first part of a story written by Eric Luke, penciled by Adam T. Hughes. Mark Farmer did the inking. The lettering was done by Steve Hain, and then Laverne Kidzetsky did the coloring. So Ghost #1 from Dark Horse's Comics Greatest World imprint went on sale on this date back in 1995. All right, so um, moving on to the next story here, or next piece of niche history here. One of a bit more of a sadder note, but many of you probably do kind of know who this is. Maybe you've seen him in a few things. Um, so on this date, 15 years ago today, actor and voice actor Roscoe, let's see, character actor, director, and voice actor Roscoe Lee Brown passed away at the age of 84. Um, Most of you would probably remember him as the voice of Kingpin from the 90s Spider-Man cartoon. This is the guy who did that voice. He had a very, for much of his, particularly latter career, had a very distinct hairstyle, as primarily bald with just hair around the edges here. You know, you can see his picture right there. Um, but okay, so this was in 1979, so he would have been about 55 there. But I know he's like done guest shots on a number of different TV shows. Again, probably most of you would remember him as the voice of Kingpin from Spider-Man, the Spider-Man cartoon, Spider-Man the animated series of the 90s. So let's see what other see if there's any other um yeah, they said here he was in, let's see. Uh, um he was a nominee for an Emmy Award for Outstanding Sequel Performance by a Supporting Actor in a Comedy or Drama Series for his work on Barney Miller. In 1986, he won an Emmy Award Outstanding Guest Performer on a Comedy Series for his work on The Cosby Show. Let's see. We've already, of course, talked about. Oh, and he actually won a Daytime Emmy Award presenting performer in an animated program for his performance as King, as we talk about. So let's see his filmography. We said, let's see. Aside of course from his work on, let's see, they actually do have his voice credits here, I think, or do they? Just, filmography voices between. Oh, it's on the right hand side there. Let's see. So for his voice work, let's see. He played Magus in the Nativity episode of His Adventure Stories from the Bible. He was Recon Merklin in Visionaries Nights of the Mystical Light. Um, Big Ed in The Real Ghostbusters with Francis and Oliver. As I said, his probably his most notable work, of course, is in the voice realm was his Kingpin Wilson Fisk and Spider-Man. He was also in Batman the Animated Series, Dr. Wataki, the Great Mystic Gnome, and Freakazoid. He was in Pirates of Dark Water. He actually was in Phantom 2040 as Old Guan and all that. So he's basically, but probably as I said, most of you would remember him as Kingpin from Spider-Man. The Animated Series. Anyways, on this date, 15 years ago today, Russell Lee Brown passed away at the age of 84. So now moving on to the last piece of history here, which happened just 5 years ago today. And on this date, 5 years ago today, Brain Space's Anonymous Noise and Satellite PTC's World End both premiered on this date in 2017. So, brain spaces, anonymous void, and I like CCC World End premiered on this date 5 years ago. So with all that being said, guys, I thank everybody for being here. I hope you all enjoyed the content tonight. I hope to see you all back here tomorrow. We will go ahead and close out here. Bye.